So after 4 years, here we are with a new Mortal Kombat. Huzzah indeed! Now, while I owned MK9, it was MKX that was my biggest time sink of every fighting games I've ever really tried to learn. Getting it on release, playing during midnight with my girl, Melina. So when Mortal Kombat 11 got announced, I was mentally preparing myself into getting back to the world of Neatherrealm, though, have to admit, I wasn't really ready for some of the stuff that I will get into later. But before the negatives, let's start with the positives. So, let's begin with the mode that the developers have perfected almost, in comparison to the other fighters out there. The story mode. No worries, completely spoiler-free. The narrative takes place 2 whole years after the ending of MKX. Shinnok is decapitated, the Neatherrealm is being controlled by Revenant Liu Kang and Kitana, and Raiden has gone full Dark Messiah. Though apparently this is not how it was supposed to be according to the Mother of Gods, Kronika. So she is starting to converge several timescapes in hope of changing time forever, giving our heroes their objective to stop the Keeper of Time. So that's the very basic summary of the story here, and while I do think that the story mode is fantastic throughout the 4.5-hour experience, roughly, the writing itself is a bit more in the middle. There are some great moments here, don't get me wrong, probably the best in the entire reboot trilogy, but because of how they are getting several versions of their characters, they absolutely are focusing on the younger generation. Which is weird, considering how we played through the 2 other games with the older, hardened individuals. They also, rather disappointingly, throw away plot points that they've built up during the previous installments. I don't want to spoil anything too big, but you will see young good Raiden far more than the corrupted version when they ended MKX with a cliffhanger of the Dark God. While that is a small negative, in my opinion, I do think they nailed the dialogue here. I genuinely cared for some of these characters, and the previously mentioned great moment will stick with me for a long time. Though who will not be remembered is the antagonist. Man, she's boring. The only reason for why I don't dislike her 100% is the sole fact that the voice actress is Jennifer Hale. Kronika is so one note, which is kinda entertaining because Shao Kahn and Shinnok, they weren't the deepest villains, but at least they had charisma while on screen. The Keeper of Time over here only has like 1 good scene with Jax. Plus there are times where I was wondering why she would act in certain ways, which made me dislike her writing even more. Like, look at this scene. Garrus, one of the new boys, is currently stopping Liu Kang and Kung Lao in a time stop thingy. But they can't kill them because they need their future revenants for their plans, so they just leave them there instead of taking them prisoners. There are more stuff like this, but focusing so much on the story wouldn't really help anyone, as again, the mode itself is entertaining. But why is Raiden constantly conferring with the Elder Gods?
I must confirm with the Elder Gods.
I know it's really weird talking so much about the narrative in a review for a fighting game, but I think it is important to keep pushing Neatherrealm, as they are constantly improving with every new game they're making. Just be critical and get them closer to perfection. That being said, the mode itself, really good. No stupid quick time events or stupid stuff like that. They did bring back the thing from Injustice 2 where you could select a different fighter in some of the chapters, but overall, just good. Though it's not the story mode that you buy a fighting game for. So, how's the gameplay? Well, let's talk about the new mechanics. Going into this expecting the exact same thing from MKX would leave anyone completely surprised, as where the previous game was about full pressure, giving the player options to sprint across the stage and do really long combos, here we have a more slow-paced footsie game. Gone is the running and walking is the norm, with the occasional dash. No longer do you have the universal bar for meter-burning special moves, push blocking and X-rays. Now you have individual bars for defensive and offensive options, and a single-use fatal blow move when you have 10% health left. Let me just say that I love this change. Your 2 gauges are constantly refilling themselves up, making sure that potential zoners aren't the only ones gaining meter by using special moves. The slow-paced gameplay is not at all what I originally feared, as NRS did listen to the feedback, and it doesn't feel as slow when you play. I'm a bit in between with the fatal blow mechanic, as I feel like it slows down the pace of the fight significantly. The reason it didn't annoy me in MKX or Injustice was the fact that people preferred using meter burn special moves with the universal gauge, but now you'll most likely see this cinematic attack in every match. So if they have changed the X-rays to the fatal blows, where are the bone cracking stuff? Well, that's the new mechanic known as crushing blows, which I really like. Every character has their own way of using these attacks, and when you do get them, they change the property of the original move significantly. An example would be the universal crushing blow that every fighter has, the uppercut. Normally, if you do a down 2, you will not get a combo from it, but if you use the move and get a punish, it will allow you to get a combo. Again, I genuinely like this mechanic, but it is not flawless, as some characters have way easier time of using theirs, like Shao Kahn, my main, can get a crushing blow after using his taunt, breaking the opponent's back for some insane damage. While getting a 2-second taunt is indeed hard, it's still just that, use the taunt. But then we have Noob Saibot, where he needs to be able to get 10 clone attacks before he can use his crushing blow. I have never seen it online because it's just tedious. Though of course, this can be patched. Maybe. Reason for the uncertainty is that in MK11 you can customize your characters with different attacks. Very much like in Injustice 2. The difference here, however, is that you will start off with all of them. You will not have to look for them like in the DC fighter. But there are competitive movesets that will have set attacks, and they will most likely patch those, but everything else we do not know. At this point all we can do is cross our fingers and hope for the best. And in this last couple of days I have been hoping for a lot, because while it is true that you will start off with all of the special moves for the customization stuff, everything else have to be found, either in the crypt or Towers of Time, and it is so bad. Let me just first say that the developers are already on the task of fixing some of the stuff that I'm about to go through, but that doesn't change the fact that it was their own release and will most likely be there after some patches. This game is the grindiest, most time-consuming fighting game I've ever played in my life. You have so much to find for every character: skins, 3 different armor types, intros, outros, brutalities, taunts, and you can unlock it all by either finding it in the randomly generated chests in the crypt, where you have to pay with the in-game currency to open, or by doing timed towers. So, let's first go through the crypt. This place is amazing in the sense that there are tons of Easter eggs. It looks great and there is a lot of exploration, but because of how it is made, the function, everything is luck-based and you have to test your luck in hoping of finding what you want. Do you want the brutality for your character? Good luck, as you can find concept art, hundreds of icons, combat card stuff, consumables for the Towers of Time or the crypt itself, etc. The only chest tab that is not random, that I know of, are the ones with the Shao Kahn bust on top. And they cost 250 hearts to open, and trust me, getting this currency is even more of a grind than anything else. You get 1 heart by doing a fatality. Well, 3 now. Fantastic. Seriously, there are 7 different currencies in this game. Though no worries, only one of them can be bought with real cash. And by the way, you use the currencies in several places. Sure, you can spend 100 souls in opening a soul chest in the crypt, but remember, you need 350 of them to gain entrance to a tower, where you may gain some loot. It's mind-numbing how mobile gaming this all feels. So that's the crypt. Sure, there are puzzles here and things to look at, but to be honest, it's just RNG hell. In MKX, I first paid for the stuff that I wanted, I looked it up online, but then after that I went around and randomly explored, because I already had what I needed. I wasn't scared of losing currency. But here, everything is just luck-based. I've played this game for so many hours, and I still haven't gotten some of the stuff that I really want. It really gives me flashback to Injustice 2. I never got that special skin for Bane, and I played that game for ages. Though, I mean, I guess you can use the AI to grind for you, as long as there are no modifiers. Finally, here we are, the Towers of Time, perfectly named because this place is hell itself. So, what's the function? Well, you can go into this mode, you can see several towers. They're really challenging, you can enter one, and you can try to get new gear. You will get new gear and stuff for every tower you beat. And this time it's not random, you can actually see what you get. And that sounds really good, right? That's way better than the crypt. Right? This mode is the most unbalanced, broken mess I've ever laid my eyes upon in any AAA video game ever. How they could ship it like this on release makes me question what Neatherrealm is doing when testing their own creation. What is making this place so unbearable? The modifiers. Turn the screen black every 5 seconds. Do not be close to your opponent or else you turn into ice. Tilt the screen constantly to throw up to the maximum effect. Unblockable missiles shooting at you from every single angle every now and then. Random wind pushing you from your opponent. Play Marvel vs. Capcom 3 against Morrigan. Look at this! This isn't challenging. This isn't fun. This is just hard for the sake of being hard. You need luck to beat some of these fights. Oh, but you can use your modifiers and use it against the CPU. As if that makes it easier. And it's not like this is the only thing that's messy. The tower right here is a character specific one, meaning that if I beat it, I will get customization stuff for this character. But look at what I have to do to gain entrance. And this is stage 2. Apparently it gets way worse the next towers, and you can't do these fatalities on classic arcade. You have to do the Tower of Time or the online. It's just not fun. Again, they are going to make this better with future patches, but it needs to be said nonetheless. And when I actually do spend 30 minutes on one fight with bull modifiers and finally win, I don't feel accomplished at all. I'm just cursing at the game for being so broken. A lot of negatives, but again, it needs to be said. Now, the online is pretty great. I've heard from people that the console versions have a better experience, but for me personally, thumbs up. Met a couple of rage quitters. Meh, doesn't annoy me really. No spammers or zoners. I met one, but it was really easy to get through, and I was terrified that that would be an issue considering the stuff they showed off in the Kombat cast in preparation for the release. So yeah, I'm really happy about that. A few desynchronizations and crashes, but those are things that can be patched. So yeah, pretty good, at least for me. Now, the only thing left to talk about is the presentation. And this is an NRS game, so here comes the positives. This game looks so good. True, there are some graphical glitches on the PC version, but overall, it's just fantastic in the graphics department. The facial animations are still godlike, the production value on every cinematic is something to behold, and the amount of intros and outros makes me really happy. The soundtrack is a step up from the previous MKs, but it doesn't stand out again. The voice cast did a stellar job. Still surprised they changed Scorpion and Kano's actors though. And then there's Ronda Rousey as Sonya Blade. To be fair, as a first time voice acting job, it probably could have been worse, but stick to fighting Rousey. As a personal note as well, the characters have never looked so good as they have here. I feel like this is exactly what Mortal Kombat should be, fighters-wise. They made Shao Kahn actually look cool. That gets a thumbs up from me. So that's Mortal Kombat 11. Sorry I couldn't show you any of the brutal stuff, but YouTube has been really frowny on that this time around, which is annoying, but yeah, whatever. So to quickly summarize, the story mode is fantastic. I love the mode. I think there are some problems with the writing itself, but in the overall picture, pretty good, like always. Good work. The gameplay, I like it mechanically. I love the changes. I like how it feels. Very, good. But everything else in the sense of the modes, please fix it. The Towers of Time and the Crypt are horrible. Everything you do to get gear and stuff like that, it's just so time consuming. Like 7 different currencies? And Classic Tower gives you no reward in comparison to Towers of Time, making me feel like, why should I throw away my precious time playing that mode when I can just painfully go through the aggravating Towers of Time? Again, they are currently fixing it, but it needs to be said, it's been hellish. So, fix it. Keep fixing it, make it entertaining. People are playing games to have fun, not to get frustrated. Okay, so the online, so far so good for me. 3 laggy matches in over 100, not that bad. Few rage quitters, doesn't frustrate me. A couple of desynchronizations, that frustrates me, but they will fix it with a couple of patches, I would hope. A lot of fixes need to be had and done with this game. Kinda remind me when MKX came out. I just enjoy that game. I don't remember any negative in that one. But anyways, presentation, it looks good. Again, I'm playing the PC version, but whatever. It has some graphical glitches, it can be all fixed, but when you look at it, from a distance, it looks good. The facial animations are on point like always. It sounds just as average, a bit step up, but forgettable. And yeah, what else is there to say? But don't get the PC version. And wait for patches if you're interested in getting this game. But until then, I'm KingJGrim, or the guy who finds it funny that they censored Johnny Cage FU stuff. When he says FU, he says that a lot, right? They've censored it, but they're censoring that in a game where you can see someone rip another individual's spine off and see their expression of fear, and it's weird. Whatever you prefer, and I'll see you guys next time.